here. I'm Shelley Lindahl. I'll be kind of your host, MC, what have you this evening. Thank you all for coming, and glad to see that we do have a fairly full room. Always worry about, is anybody going to care? But thank you for coming to get the information that we hope to share this evening. We have some distinguished guests, and we'll be doing she's like, really, I'm distinguished. But the introductions are the village mayor of Walden, New York, Susan Rumbold, and the trustee, Lynn, Thompson, and of course, Dr. Paul Connett. And we will have a brief introductory explanation. I will say this is, shall we say, a rather partisan event. We are sharing information about fluoride that we believe that it's not a good thing in general, and we certainly will be open to questions and what have you after the presentations. But the first speaker is kind of a little more nonpartisan on this, just giving us a little bit of background about what is actually happening with the village process right now, just so that we have a starting point to know where we're going from here in the village. And that is Trustee Steve Warr. So he'll give you a quick rundown on that.
Sure. The village board has been approached on this subject for well over a year. And we've been fact gathering and taking in information and disseminating emails. I have 157, I believe, so far. I can't tell you in which denomination they are, but I have about 157 that we've been reading. And we decided a little while ago on the board that we would, and individually everybody was gathering information, we decided that we would wait until we're having an engineering study done on our fluoridation system. When that engineering study is completed and presented to the board, and then we were waiting for these fine folks to make their decisions so that we could use that as a template if that's the direction we decide to go. So hopefully within 30 to 60 days we'll be making what we feel are our informed decisions at our board level.
All right, close this door while we. So, we will get into our first panelist to tell you about what's going on in Walden, New York. But first, I'll just do my little bit. Basically, my biggest concern about fluoridating water, personally, is the idea that we're medicating an entire population for a problem that exists within a specific population. And I would ask you, is anybody here suffering from heart disease perhaps, or high blood pressure, something like that? Well, oh boy, we're a lucky group here. Well, okay, for instance, we just looked it up. Propanolol is a high blood pressure drug that people with heart disease would use. Would we be happy with our municipal water system being laced with propanolol in order to help those folks that legitimately have issues? We understand that. Would that be something that would be acceptable to people? Because heart disease is the #1 killer of people. Dental caries does not really, I mean, I guess it could, but in the United States, I doubt anybody has died from dental caries in the last 75, 100 years. So, you know, it's just something about medicating our water system that concerns me personally. As a community member and a taxpayer here in Potsdam, I would like to see it removed, and I hope that some of the folks here's talk tonight will help you understand how that can happen. In Walden, they have voted unanimously to remove it from their water system, and so they can share with you a little about that process and why they did that, and then we'll go into Dr. Connett's risk to the brain outweighs the benefits to the teeth discussion. So, without further ado, which one of you wanted to go first, Mayor?
So,
all right, there you go. Thank you, Mayor.
Can I stand here? I don't have to. Oh, I am. Good evening, everyone. I'm Susan Rumbold. I'm from the village of Walden, which is in the lower Hudson Valley, New York State. and we just removed fluoride from our water system in May. The subject of fluoride conflicted me a bit. I've worked in the dental field for over 30 years as a dental assistant and now as an office manager. I have no issue with the topical application of fluoride. I think it's beneficial. It's done by a professional under the auspices of a dental office. But I had issues with the thoughts of ingesting it, which is what happens when it's in the water supply. Like your board, we were inundated with information from both sides. One side said fluoride needs to come out, the other side said leave it in, it's fabulous. So what I did personally is I separated myself from the science. I'm not a scientist. I don't know which side is correct with their research. What I did look at was facts that were in evidence. The FDA never approved fluoride in water. They didn't want anything to do with it, which I think was a good decision on the FDA's part, since most of you can turn your TVs on any night and see an ad from an attorney's office saying, if you took this medication, we'll sue for you and get money back because the FDA has recalled a drug after extensive treatment, or extensive research. The EPA, the agency that took over the auspices of fluoride for years and years and years, were very staunch in what the regulations had to be to deliver fluoride to water systems. And since I've been on my board for about 12 years, they've reduced that amount twice. The last time they used fluorosis, which is white spotting of the enamel of the teeth, as the excuse. Our children are getting too much fluoride. You have to remember the enamel is formed systemically before the teeth have erupted. So the first thing I thought of was, is this substance so specific that it would only interrupt that one process in the body? Now you know yourself, go pick your medications up. What do you get? 3 pages of contraindications, symptoms, other causes that this medication can cause. So for me, the question in my mind was, can it be that specific and only affect that one bodily function? People on this side would say absolutely, it's a toxin. People on this side, don't worry about it. The analogy that I used during our meetings was, if you take a cup of black coffee and you add cream to it, are you only diluting the coffee, or are you also diluting the cream? Obviously, both liquids are being diluted. When you dilute the fluoride in the water, you're diluting the toxins that are there as well as the fluoride. So you're reducing any benefit that that fluoride may have had when initially it was put into your water. Think about when you take a glass of water, how long does that water stay in your mouth? How long does it even come in contact with your teeth? I don't know about the rest of you, but when I drink a glass of water, it's down. I'm not rinsing with it, I'm not swishing with it, it's down. So any benefit that there might have been is gone to go into the enamel. And if you looked at your enamel under a microscope, it looks like Swiss cheese. There's pores in it. That's how the fluoride seeps into that enamel when it's put on topically. And as an elected official, I guess what it came down to was, I had to make a decision whether I was going to represent the entirety of my population or just one segment. And what it came down to for me at the end of the day was that big what if. What if that substance that we're putting in our water is not only interrupting the formation of enamel? What if? And do I have a responsibility to my entire community to make decisions that benefit all of them? And at the end of the day, that's how I came to the conclusion that we needed to remove fluoride from our water. I will tell you, if you make that decision, New York State will make it as hard as possible for you to accomplish that. They passed a law 2 years ago regulating how you may do it, not just a simple vote from your board any longer. You have to write resolutions, you have to have public hearings, you have to get letters from professionals giving you their opinion on removal of fluoride from your system. I did speak to your Honorable Mayor today, and I did tell him that Village of Walden is more than willing to share our resolution with Potsdam. We can walk you through how the process was done, the steps that your community needs to take to get this accomplished. But at the end of the day, what I will tell you is you elected your officials to represent you. I have every confidence, I spoke with them this afternoon, that they take this matter seriously, and whatever decision that they make, the community needs to support them. I'm not here to tell you to make a certain decision. That's certainly up to your community and your elected officials, but the community of Walden stands with Potsdam no matter what decision you make, and we're more than willing to help you through the process. And I wish you all good luck, and thank you again for your warm welcome. It's lovely here. Thank you so much.
My name is Lynn Thompson. I'm a village trustee in the Village of Walden. I was a registered nurse for 33 years. I knew absolutely nothing about fluoride until I became a village trustee, and questions started circulating. What do you think about the fluoride? I don't know. So I thought I better do some research. I was intrigued. I had no idea that this was such a controversial topic. And the more I researched, the more complicated and confused it became. There's evidence on both sides that they would like to present saying, we're right, no you're not, we're right. So when it came to discussing it with our residents, the people that came forward, the topic, the theme that kept resounding was, why are you thinking it's okay for us to take a medicine that we don't want to take? Who would ever go to the doctor or the pharmacy, get their prescription filled, and just get an empty bottle with no directions, and you get it home and it's like, well, now what am I supposed to do? How much do I take? How often do I take it? Do I take it with food? What do I do? None of us would ever in a million years do that. We just wouldn't do that. But that's what Albany would like us to do with fluoride. It's good for you. Drink the water. How can you do that? I'm a small woman. There could be a 300-pound man. He might drink 27 glasses of water a day. I might drink 10. What dose are we getting? When Sue said that they've lowered the dilutions, they have. And my work as a nurse was with women's and children's health. So I worked with a lot of pediatricians. Tooth formation is happening before the teeth appear. Everyone, if they didn't breastfeed, they're mixing their baby formulas with fluoridated water. Well, all of a sudden, don't mix baby formula with fluoridated water. Why? Well, just don't do it. Why? Well, we think you've been giving your babies too much. Really? So now the recommendation is for an infant that's primary source of nutrition is infant formula, which is usually babies under a year old. Don't mix their formula with fluoridated water. That tells me, maybe this is not such a good idea. When I think of our senior population, our geriatric people, their bodies in many ways go back to like a newborn. Newborns' livers and kidneys, they don't filter things out well yet. They're not fine-tuned enough yet. As we get older, the same thing starts to happen. People just, your organs don't work the same way. So if this fluoride is not a good idea for babies, why is this a good idea for the elderly? Why would someone who's 80 years old and they're having issues with their kidneys or their liver, why would we be telling them that this is good for them to take? There's just a lot of controversy. So the thing that we just kept hearing from our senior members of the community was, I just don't like the thought that you're making all of us take something. If you don't put the fluoride in the water, the people that still want to take the fluoride, they can take the fluoride. They can go and get fluoride tablets. They can still use fluoridated toothpaste. that way, we all get what we want. The people who don't want it don't have to consume it. The people who want it can make the choice to continue to take it in another form. So, like the mayor, several of us on the board really started thinking about that. Like, why are we making everyone do this when everyone doesn't want to do this? This is America. We're all supposed to have a choice, and we're supposed to help make good, sound choices for the people in our community. So that's what we, decided we were gonna do. And is it impossible to get the fluoride out? Absolutely not. You have to play by the rules that the Department of Health gives you. We had a step along the way that they weren't happy with. They made us redo it. But we had a very excellent village attorney who knew that they were gonna make it very difficult, and he dotted every I, crossed every T, and when Albany came to Walden, they were still trying to convince us that this was not a good idea, but our mayor and our village manager made it very clear, you're not gonna bully us, you're not gonna change our minds, we've done our homework, we've spoken to our residents, the fluoride's going. And that was the end of that. And May 15th, I believe it was, bye-bye fluoride, gone. So it is a hot topic. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of science. Dr. Connett will explain that. And one of the things that also disturbed me was, think about all the things that over the years we've all consumed, because everybody told us it wouldn't hurt us. Cigarettes are okay, smoke. Alcohol is okay, drink. Aluminum and deodorant, it's good, slather it on. PCBs, they won't hurt you. Asbestos, harmless. Really? Well, the science and the research just kept plugging away, and guess what? All of the things that so many of us have done for years and years, well, guess what? It's just not a good idea, and it has harmed us. So it makes me question, am I getting good information? I don't know. And then, if a child swallows fluoridated toothpaste, you're supposed to call poison control. Really? But we can drink it all day, every day for our whole lives. It's just very conflicting to me. So I truly believe the best thing to do is do not give it to an entire population of people. And then the people that don't want it are content, and the people that want it definitely have the ability to go and get it. And everyone should be happy.